We welcome you to Eagles Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. 22-21 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. A win's a win, right? That's the bottom line.
We won?
Unless a win's a heart attack, or unless a win's a root canal, or unless a win's what? Put it somewhat more mildly, maybe cod liver oil? I don't know, but it really was a distasteful win. As Barrett Brooks is here, and Ray Didinger is here, and Seth Joyner is joining us as usual from Zoom land. And, you know, when you watch this team and what it did all night long, they really started out fantastic that first drive. I mean, like, by the numbers. Wasn't it, Barrett, Ray, Seth? I mean, by the numbers. I thought it was going to be a beatdown. And then it just went the other way. They were terrible.
We get fooled all the time. We get fooled all the time, Mike. You know, it's starting to really get on my nerves that this team has no ability to shut game. My key to the game was go down, score early, put your foot on their neck, make sure you apply the pressure, and let them know that there was no chance on earth that they will be allowed to win this game. But yet and still, we go out there, we start playing around, you know, allowing them to get more and more momentum. We don't have a team that's good enough to do that. We don't have enough healthy players for us to do that. Then we start using players where they're not supposed to be at. This is just, you know, to me, I saw us got out coached, you know, as far as the offensive side of the ball. Our special teams at this point, our kicking game, I can't rely on it. I mean, I can't. They might be working out some kickers this week. They should be working out some kickers tomorrow. I mean, it's ridiculous. We can't go out there and kick an extra point or kick a field goal that's well within his range.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I forgot about the missed extra point and the 29-yard missed field goal attempt, and then the two 50-plus yarders missed last week and the week prior. Seth, when you look at, we're watching them leave the field right now, the Eagles watching to playing in front of an audience of approximately 7,500 persons watch this team win. They now are 2-4-1 after 7 games, which is a good thing, Seth, because the last time they had one win after 7 games, let alone one win after 8 games, Ray Bob was gone after that season in 1998, you'll recall. So that's a good thing. But when you looked at this offense and defense, they just could not put it together consistently tonight.
Well, the biggest problem is they don't play complementary football. You know, the Eagles start off the game with an 11-play, 75-yard
beautiful
touchdown, eating up 6 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock, and then they just go into hibernation mode from that point on. The defense takes over and keeps it close, and all of a sudden they lose their stride at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and the Giants now all of a sudden have the lead. You know, this team is going to continue to struggle because there's no consistency. There's no chemistry. There's nothing that they do on a week-to-week basis that leads you to believe that they're going to come out and play a solid game. They play in spurts. And when you play in spurts, you allow teams like the New York Giants, a team that you should beat handily, to stay in a game, and you're in a dogfight to the end, and you got to pull out miracles at the end to win these football games. It makes no sense. I don't understand what the problem is. Play calling.
That's the problem.
Jim Schwartz. Hey, listen, I'm gonna give Jim Schwartz props tonight. Did you see him bring the pressure tonight?
Yeah.
And what that created for this defense. On the offensive side of the ball, I think that Doug has like completely lost his way. When I watch some of the calls that he's made, especially 2-point conversions, for the year they're 4 for 9 on 2-point conversions. The last 6, they're 2 for 6. It seems to me that it's time to abandon the 2-point play unless you absolutely need it, like Ray talked about it last week. Early in the game, it's unnecessary. It puts undue stress on your offense because instead of having to just kick a field goal there to win the game, no, you got to stress and figure out how to get the ball in the end zone. And Doug's play calling, it leaves a lot to be desired right now. You know, Carson's not doing a good job at times of, you know, finding guys that are open. He's inaccurate sometimes. And then other times he throws a dime like he threw Boston Scott there to win the game. I just don't – the consistency is the thing that's plaguing this football team right now.
You're absolutely right. And Ray Didinger, when you look at what the difference is, at least seemingly, in Carson Wentz when he's good and Carson Wentz when he's not so good, he's moving around when he's good. I'm not saying he can't throw a ball ever, standing still in the pocket, but when they roll him around and the opposing team has to stay honest because they don't know what the heck he's going to do, it seems like he's a more effective quarterback, even with a receiving core that is a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, I think that's true. When the pace of the game gets a little more frenetic, he seems to be at his best. In the middle of the game, when they kind of settle into a kind of a ball control sort of mode, less so. He's better on the move outside than he is in the pocket. I think that's all true. I guess I'm probably going to take the other side from you guys right now. Because you guys seem a little troubled by a lot went down. And listen, this was far from perfect. And we've talked about the fact that this team's inability to sustain for 4 quarters is troublesome, and it's part of the reason why they are where they are right now. But a lot of that has to do with just who they're playing with. I mean, it's hard to be a consistent football team when you're playing with Uiapata and all these other guys in the offensive line. I mean, you're just trying to hang the whole, pull the whole thing together from play to play, really. The fact that once again, this week at the end, that they were able to generate the offense that they were at the end, and in this case, not fall short, but actually win the game, was, I thought, pretty good. You know, I mean, when you figure where they were after that long drive that the Giants had at the start of the 4th quarter that Seth was talking about, which to me was very discouraging, that the Giants were able, I mean, this very limited, sort of almost half-crippled Giants offense was able to drive the ball 90 yards on you in that situation. And I know the pass interference play in the end zone was sort of ticky-tack. I kind of get that. But the fact that the Giants were able to move that ball 90 yards and get that touchdown, it seemingly kind of puts the game away. And you come back from that and you get 2 more possessions and, 6 minutes to go, you're down 11 points and you can manage to find a way to come back and win. Even though the quality of the opponent is what it is, and we know the Giants right now are the worst team in the worst division in football. That's all true. But the fact that you put yourself in that position, not admirable, but you did put yourself in that position. But at the end, with 6 minutes to go, back against the wall, down 11 points, you found a way to come back and win. I got to tip my hat to him. I mean, and especially the quarterback. I mean, he was up and down all night. This wasn't a spectacular night for him. And again, it's not going to be a night that's going to be reflected in gaudy statistics. But when the plays had to be made there at the end, he sure made them. And the throw he makes to Scott that basically wins the game is about as good a football as you can ever throw in that spot. So, look, you can break this down and dissect it a million different ways. But I think that you can kind of pick and choose good or bad. But when you come out of this with a win and you kind of stay alive and you rally the way they rallied in the last 6 minutes, I think that was a pretty good, not an artistic win, but a very necessary win.
Yeah, Seth, hang on 1 second, because as you know, Seth, and as Ray knows, I love Ray to death. I never, ever disagree with Ray. I always, in turn, go, oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I'm going to change my mind. But I'm sticking to my guns tonight, Ray.
Go right ahead.
Let me tell you, the play calling from Doug Peterson was horrific at times. The 2-point conversions, as Seth mentioned, 4 for 9, 2 for 6 recently. They can't keep doing that. The play calling is what the heck. And then they leave the interception in the end zone. That's 3 or 6 points, depending on how you want to look at it. The field goal missed by Jake Elliott, that's 3 points. A failed 4th down attempt, that would have led to 3 points. Oh, and a missed extra point. That's between 9 and 14 points that they left on the field. And I know they won, but they're playing the New York stinking Giants. It's just amazing to me the way this team plays down to the level of competition. Then they give Baltimore a run for its money, but they fall short.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
At 21-10 with 6 minutes to go, did you think they were going to win?
No shot.
Okay, they won.
Okay.
So give them credit for that.
All right, let's go.
But look, I mean, we're not.
Listen.
I think you kind of have to grade this. I think you kind of have to almost.
Grade it on a curve?
You have to almost grade this team on a curve because of what they are, the reality of it. I mean, that's kind of what they are. And at the end, when this what would have been an awful loss is staring them in the face, they put together 2 drives where they were able to down and scored the touchdowns that allowed you to win the game. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this was a great performance because it wasn't. But when the game was on the line with 6 minutes to go, they were able to come out of an 11-point hole and win the game. I think you got to give them some credit for that.
So, Seth, 2-4-1 this week, 3-4-1 after they beat Dallas Sunday night going into the bye. Hope springs eternal. Go ahead, Seth. You were going to say.
Listen, I agree. I agree with Ray 100% that you have to give them kudos for their ability to come back in these games. But what's problematic is, listen, you got what they face in the remainder of their schedule. They can't play like this and expect to win. You really think they can come out and play the way they played tonight against Dallas, and you think they're going to win? Dallas is a much better football team, a much better offensive football team than the Giants could ever be, okay? So if they think that they're going to show up on Monday night, on November 1st, and play the play the Dallas Cowboys and play the way that they played tonight and think they're going to walk away with a W, they got another thing coming. They better get it together. And I always say, it's just as important how you win as if you win. Because, yeah, you can have some of these key breakers, some of these games like they had tonight where they came back from behind and they won in a game that they should have handily won. You can have a game like last week where they play like crap for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they turn it on and score 21 points on the Baltimore Ravens. But if you're not doing it on a consistent basis, the law of averages will catch up with you, just like the law of averages is catching up with Doug Peterson and his 4th and 1, his 4th down, going for it on 4th down. I don't know how many 3rd and 1s they did not convert tonight, trying to run the ball up the middle in the strength of the Giants defense, which is the middle of the defense. Why weren't they running on the edges? The 2-point conversions, you keep trying these things over and over again, and sooner or later, the law of averages always catches up with you. It's the same way with how you play football games. If you play on a tightrope all the time, sooner or later, you're going to fall, okay? And that's the problem I have with the way that they won this game tonight. Hey, kudos, you won the game. They had to win the game. I don't like the way they won the game, especially against a team that they should have dominated.
Barrett, I completely agree with Seth, but also we know, all of us know, what the Philadelphia fans are, many of whom are thinking, sure, it's a great win. Sure, we love this team. But we have major concerns about this team. They should have put away a team like the New York Giants way before they did. The slipshod play was terrible. They should have beaten a heck of a lot more teams at the beginning of the schedule. Now we're coming into a bye week after the Dallas game. And they'll, as Seth said, they're going to be hard-pressed to beat Dallas. So I'm expressing a lot of the concerns that I think are out there right now. We won, but, right? Answer those concerns.
There's no question about that, but I'm still trying to think, what was the adjective you used for the quarterback, Ray? I forget what adjective you used. Well, that's neither here nor there. I'm just trying to figure out who Carson Wentz is. We talked earlier in this conversation in pregame about who Carson is, what he has to do to become a franchise quarterback. And Seth stated that at this point he has to play consistently at a franchise quarterback to be labeled that guy. And then I hear Ray says, well, he took a team that probably should have lost this game and engineered a comeback to win, regardless of the people that he has in front of him, in spite of the people he has in front of him, he still brought back this team to win. And I'm just so mixed up in, who is Carson Wentz? Is he that guy at the beginning of the game, execute that offense, bring him down the field? Or is he that guy where I saw he should have stayed in the pocket, the offensive line is trying to block at a certain point for him, he needs to be at that spot and deliver the ball when the guys are open, and doesn't, and throws an interception instead of throwing it to the stop route that was in front of him, that he should have executed the offense? I mean, who is Carson Wentz? And I'm starting to see more and more where Carson goes, this team goes, and it's so the inconsistency is coming from his play. So who is Carson Wentz right now? Is he a franchise quarterback? Is he a guy that, is a front runner? What is he? I don't understand right now who Carson Wentz is and what he's, bringing to the table as far as for this team.
That's a great question. I got to take a break because we're going to come back. We're going to hear from Carson Wentz. We're going to hear from Doug Peterson. But I think you could ask a similar question about the head coach, Doug Peterson. Who is Doug Peterson? Is he the offensive coordinator that engineered that brilliant drive to start the game, going, to 75 yards in however many plays? 11 plays in 6 minutes, 15 seconds? Or is he the guy who keeps calling the 2-point conversion and fails at it? It's frustrating to watch this team, albeit in a win tonight, 2-4-1. Yippee! Bring on Dallas.